Hey family, I decided to check in. I pray all is well with many of you. I just want to share this message, okay? I had saw this article on YouTube and I want to read it and simplify it also, okay? The article said it's better to take the lonely road into the kingdom than to follow the world into destruction. I'm gonna read it again. It's better to take the lonely road into the kingdom than to follow the world into destruction. And then I decided to simplify it, okay? It's pretty much how you look at it, okay? Um, the lonely road or the worldly path. That's my take on it. The lonely road or the worldly path, okay? Now, the way I see it, okay, as far as me like looking back over my life, coming into my spiritual awakening, okay, family. Um, the lonely road, from my perspective, and I'm sure for many of you who are on this path as well, your spiritual path, okay. If you find yourself being more isolated, shall I say, the lonely road can be very lonely. Um, and you may say, well, what do you mean by that, Corinne? You know, you can be in your home and have others that lives with you, and you can still feel lonely, especially when they are not on the path that you're on, or they don't understand what's going on with you, okay? And you sure better not talk about it, okay? Now it's okay, you know, if you feel the need to speak up on certain things, if you have that certain loved one that has that listening ear, and even though they don't understand what you're talking about, still they're there for you and they take the time to listen. But it's nothing like having that loved one that is too on the spiritual path, and they may be experiencing something totally different than what you're experiencing, but you know, they get you. They get you. You both are on different. You both are having different experiences, okay? And they may not be as spiritually as evolved as you, but they understand you, okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. They understand you, and so you still have somebody to talk to, okay? That gets you. Um, but still, you can find yourself being in a household where you still feel alone because you're having these experiences and nobody can relate to them. So, for many of you, you know how your peoples are, you know how your family members are. You know, you have to be very mindful and watch what you say because you don't want to come off as crazy, and that can really happen. Okay, so but if you had that support there, if you had that support and they know and they pretty much have an idea what you're going through, that's different. Um, the lonely road can also be lonely when it comes to your so-called friends and associates. When you step outside your home, you know, um, if many of them are not having any kind of experiences at this time, notice what I said at this time. Um, you have to be mindful of sharing the things that are going on with you with them. Okay. Um, for one thing, if they're in that box way of thinking, um, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. They're gonna think you crazy or you tripping. For the most part, they ain't trying to hear it, and it's gonna go in one ear, not the other. It's gonna go in one ear, out the other, and for the most part, they end up changing the topic. Okay, they end up changing the topic. I mean, this has happened to me. Okay, they'd be like, you're saying things like, have you been hearing any ringing? And they'd be like, ringing? Maybe you need to get your ears checked. Nah. So have you heard from so and so lately? They'd be quick to change the subject. So of course that's your cue for change the subject and talk about other things, other worldly things that they can relate to. Okay, and just see for what it is. They just they just not relate to the things that you're speaking about. So you have to respect that, okay? Um, but also you have to think about the path that you're on. You get to that place of knowing that energy cannot be forced and it needs to flow. So that's also when it comes to you meeting people. As far as anybody that you know, thinking about allowing them to get close to you, you have to use discernment. Definitely use discernment when it comes to the energy factor. You have to definitely watch and guard your energy because you don't want the wrong kind of individual, getting too close to you because you don't know what kind of attachments is on them, and those so-called attachments. See how I got the okay for that. Oh my goodness, my spiritual team are on fleek today. You hear me? So be mindful when I'm talking and the flashes are going on all around me, okay? As you see, no tricks over here, okay? But anyway, family, many of you already know about energy, okay? So anyway, as I was saying, you don't want to get involved with people who has, uh, you really don't know where they are energetically, okay? And it always starts up here. You're around somebody that thinks negative and, you know, um, their actions is negative, and you would know because you would know how they moving out here, okay? But if it's a person always constantly complaining and being negative and jealous of others, they're very low vibrational, and people like that can receive attachments to them. So when I speak about the lonely path, you got to be mindful of certain people, that you choose to get that you choose to allow to get close to you. You don't want, like as I stated earlier, you don't want anyone to try to get close to you, and they are low vibrational, and of course you have to make sure you at a high vibrational frequency, so whatever's on them won't jump off on you. And especially if you decide to get sexually with that person, if your vibration is not where it needs to be, whatever's on them is going to jump off on you. Okay, and you don't want that because many of you have been experiencing succubus and experiencing those little sexual demons. Having their way with many of you at night. I mean, I've been there, so I know what that's about. I'm not experiencing that now. I nipped that in the bud, but I know what that's all about. We must really guard our energy, family, and you cannot go by looks. You cannot go by looks, okay? Um, Thank you, divine. You can't go by looks, okay? It's all about spiritual discernment. Let me just say that, and definitely have that relationship with God to commune with you. For God is within His children, and you did spiritual discernment, okay, that we all have, but we all choose to put a band-aid on it and ignore it, doing a whole lot of procrastinating, not listening to it. How do they say you want what you want? Well, you're going to get what you've been asking for also if you don't use spiritual discernment. But the lonely road can be lonely, because this is a time when you are alone by yourself. That's a time when you can really do a lot of reflecting and you're focused. You don't have a lot of distractions going on, okay? And so use that time very wisely when you are alone. I don't even care if you're married or if you have a significant other. Make time for yourself. Most importantly, make time with God. Do some meditating and spend those alone time wisely. Okay, spend those alone time very wisely, and make time. Okay, make time with yourself and definitely God within you, and that would build you up spiritually as well. Okay, because meditation alone, help quiet the mind, and that's your time with God. You shutting this world out. It's all about you and the kingdom and God within you. Okay, and that's the time you also receiving downloads, and when you're seeking answers, you go within to get those answers. It's so much more. See, it's so much more, family. But I just want to let you know, the more that you start being in tune with self and have knowledge of self, this alone will increase your energy. okay? Especially when you're thinking positive and you're in your heart space, it will raise your vibration, and you'll find yourself being able to affect electrical devices in some form of another. Okay, maybe your phone might start shorting out as far as the battery might start acting up. No, your battery lifespan go as won't last as long as it should. Okay, um, what I'm experiencing, the lights would flicker, but it's different for everybody, family. It's different for everybody. The point I'm trying to make is when you're in that wide path, you're not going to get this right here, okay? You're not going to get this. And the main reason is because you are distracted. You are distracted on doing drugs. You are distracted on drinking, okay? Putting the wrong kind of things in your system. You are distracted on getting involved with the wrong kind of individuals. They keep you so distracted and so caught up, in drama out here in the streets, or caught up with them. You need to have time for yourself. So many people give so much of themselves, they don't make time for themselves, if you know what I mean. Many of you are givers. You just give, but you are lacking from the perspective of yourself, and that's self-sabotage, you know. But that's what can happen when you're caught up worldly. We get so distracted that we don't make time for God. It's one thing to pray, but meditation is also, something that we should be doing also. And definitely spend time with self. Get to know you, okay? And when you are distracted, you're not taking the time to get to know you. Find out what you want, and learn more about yourself that you didn't know before. We got distracted, we out here in these streets, you're not making time for self. You're not making time for self at all. And a lot of times we use a lot of wrong judgment when we're hanging with others that are not on the same path that we're on. If you're somebody that's on a spiritual path, right? And normally you're known for being solo, okay? And you get what, say, I know I'm supposed to talk about it because, the energy is backing me up. But if you're someone that's normally on a, um, on a lonely path, all right? And I don't mean to say it like in a bad way. Oh, lonely. We're never alone. God is with you always. Please know that. Okay, God's with you always, and He will always send somebody to give you that right message, and He would just always send somebody to to comfort you, and to be there for you in some form of fashion, okay? But of course, it's all about us using wisdom as far as the right kind of people that we choose to be around, okay? You definitely want to hang around like-minded individuals. It's okay to still have those friends, but sometimes you have to love people from a distance, okay? But anyway, when you're somebody that's normally on that, lonely path, narrow, okay, lonely/narrow path, and you got these so-called friends that are still in that box way of thinking, they're really on a different path that you're on, but you're still trying to, uh, keep that communication going. You're still trying to hang with them, so they'll know that, everything is cool with y'all, and, because you don't want them to think, you're being funny, so you still will hang with them and talk to them, when you're with those individuals, 9 to 10, I don't want to say all of them, but somebody that you're hanging around with is low vibrational. And you don't know and by them being low vibrational, you don't know what attachments they have on them, okay? So destruction can happen anytime. You don't know what they're into out here in these streets. You hang around them, something can jump off, and by you just happen to be around them, maybe you know what I'm talking about, you can get caught up in the drama, just by hanging with them. Okay? Things happen. Things happen. Things happen. That's why we have to use discernment, when we coming and going. Always put that hedge of protection of light around us, um, in the morning, and definitely at night when you go to sleep, and definitely when you decide to leave your home, visualize that white light around you. Okay, and that's your angels to go before you, keeping you in all of your ways, okay, protecting you from unseen harm and danger. We have to think like that because, for the most part, you just don't know, the plans of, the power that be, is always plotting because they see what you're trying to do and they see where you're trying to go. Okay, they see what you're trying to do and they see where you're trying to go. So you got to be mindful of that. A lot of times, the power that be is always a step ahead, but when you put your spiritual armor on and yes, the Most High God, to protect you and to go before you as far as straighten your path, lighting your path. Let me just say that it affects your it affects the atmosphere for one thing. Okay, it affects the atmosphere, just like you see how my atmosphere is. It's just fluctuating, but it affects the atmosphere, and also those dark entities, shall I say, it cannot comprehend the light. Okay, the light will burn them off. Your light is so bright, family, it will just burn them off, whatever's inside of them. And remember, it's not the people, it's what's inside of them. If they are very low vibrational, for the most part, they have some attachments. Please know that. They have some attachments. Okay? And getting back to, the lonely road or the worldly path, I think about, because I've been there now, right now I'm more sustaining myself, and that really makes my energy very strong and powerful. But, before I got to this place, I was seeing someone, and actually it was, well, I don't want to put nobody on Fifth Street, but I was seeing somebody, right? Well, I will go ahead and say this. I will go ahead and say this because y'all don't know his name, okay? But when I was seeing my daughter's father, right? And I was like really into him, okay? And but I did not know. Not only were there things about me that I would consider that was low vibrational, but he was also low vibrational. So you can imagine, okay? I can't put all the blame on him, you know. My mind during that time, also the way I was thinking, to me, it was low vibrational, okay? But I truly feel like hooking up with him sexually, okay? Whether it's me or him, one of us had some kind of attachment. Because once I started, being like sexually involved with him, I started, having those, and this was before my daughter was even born, but I started to experience, those succubus, shall I say, and that was crazy. Okay, that was crazy. And so I definitely had to see for what it was and put a stop to that, okay? And ask the Most High God to help me, and I called in the name of Jesus, and I said it several times, and it would stop, but it would flee and it would come back. Well, the reason it would come back because I was involved with somebody that had that attachment on them, okay? So family, a lot of people, knows that when they do these things, this phenomena will stop. But if you keep hanging around the same person and it flees, it goes away and it comes back, well, it may not be you. Okay, it may not be you. Now, it could be the person that you're with. So we have to keep that in mind. Okay, because pretty much when that lonely road, really you're not involved with anybody. But if you are involved with somebody, make sure you're both equally yoked. Okay, make sure you're both equally yoked. Because you really don't know the mind of a person. You don't know if a person's thinking negative. You don't know when that person's not around you, whether they're being negative as far as their actions. Just our thoughts and our actions alone can cause a person to receive attachments, okay? That you allow the enemy to enter because you're matching its frequency as well, okay? But when you raise the bar, when you raise your vibration, you don't have to worry about that, okay? You don't have to worry about that. Because for one thing, you usually discernment for one thing. And your spirit within you, it will let you know. And if you're someone that the discernment is very weakened, I would say pray about it. Ask the Most High God to help you. You discernment whether this person you should be with or not. And stop going by looks. Stop going by looks. Yeah, I know you want to be attracted to the person, but stop going by just the looks, okay? Because for my brother, that Jezebel spirit is out there, okay? And if you're just going by the ass, okay, a lot of sisters pumping their ass with all kind of stuff now, and they adding more to their breasts. If you're just going by that, yeah, that serpent is going to bite you real good. And you also don't know the so-called attachment she may have to her, especially if she, has not healed, from those fragments of the past. You just don't know what you're getting. And that goes to my sisters also, okay? God forbid you meet somebody, because you're not on that lonely path, okay? You're not on that path, the narrow path, let me just say that. and you may not have a strong discernment. You can meet somebody and you don't know if they mess with somebody else, and the person they're messing with could have attachments. When you mess with them at first, no problems, but all of a sudden they cut out on you, and now you with them, and all of a sudden, you have these psychic attacks. You've been attacked tonight by some unknown entity. Yeah, that's right. One woman had you think to yourself, where this come from? Where this come from? One woman had wrote me a while back. She saw one of my old videos that I was giving my testimony about this phenomenon. Okay, it's been like some years back, but she happened to watch it and she left me a message, and she was like, "What can I do? What can I do?" I'm praying, I'm praying, and it would leave and come back. I've been calling them with Jesus and everything. It would leave and come back, and I asked her, well, you have a boyfriend? She said, yeah. And she said, yeah, he been praying too. And she said, I ain't been, spiritualist before. I really didn't want to bust her bubble, okay? But for the most part, um, not only did I tell her she needs to talk to him, but at the end of the day, I pretty much just said it respectfully as possibly as I could, okay? So she won't be triggered and feel some type of way about what I was saying, but I will let her know if it's not you, it could be him. One of y'all let it in, okay? And it could be due to one of you cutting out, or one of you could be very, 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 low vibrational, okay? And wherever you were during that time, it decided to attach itself to you. And as I stated, if one of you were cutting out, whoever they were cutting out with, could have had some attachments, and it could have jumped on them, and by y'all sexually being involved, it jumped on you. Okay? I have women and men writing me, telling me about this. So I know what that's about. Okay? And I don't wish it on anybody. I don't wish it on anybody. But I would definitely suggest many of you who are experiencing this, not only pray, ask most how God give you the wisdom, as far as guiding you, okay, through it, guiding you through it, and to help you, to get through it. But also, definitely call the name of Jesus, and it works. It works. And not only that, you're going to have to see things for what it is, okay? If it flees and it comes back, well, you need to really dig deep and figure out who you're involved with, okay? Figure out who you are involved with. And most importantly, watch your vibration. Watch your thoughts. Make sure you're in your heart space. Because the way I see it, when you raise your vibration, family, you shouldn't be having no kind of attachments, okay? You shouldn't be having no kind of attachments to you. So, and also use discernment when it comes to who you get involved with also. God, one must be equally yoked. The lonely road or the worldly path. Well, we already know what the worldly path is all about. That's pretty much distraction, 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 and more distraction. But what are those distractions for you, family? Are you making time with yourself, going within, spending time with God? Are you communing with God? Or are you so distracted that you don't make time? During the times we're living in, you know, you're not seeking, so shall you find. During the time that we're living in, you're not asking, so shall you receive. During the time that we're living in, you're not knocking, so that door be open within you. What are you doing with your time when you are alone? Like I said, I don't care if you are married, still spend some alone time, go within yourself. If you're in a relationship, I don't care, spend some alone time, go within yourself. If you are lonely, if you are single, that's the point I'm trying to make. If you're single, that's okay. Go within yourself, spend time with yourself and God. It's what you do with your time. It's what we do with our time. Okay? It's what we do with our time, family. What do we think that's so important? It's what we do with our time and what we think is so important. That's going to determine your spiritual growth. If you're out here being worldly, being distracted, you're caught up in the latest trends, you're caught up in other people's drama, because everybody's battle is not your battle, but you're caught up instead of being still, instead of focusing on yourself. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. This lonely path, I thank the Most High God for it, because it definitely saved my life. And I come to find out whose I am, and I have knowledge of self, and that's powerful. Many of them out there in the streets, they have no knowledge of self. That's why they're running to and fro. They're very restless. And they don't know what you know, family. They don't know what I know. I love you, family. The lonely road or the worldly path. Make your choice. God sure made mine. That Jezebel spirit is running rapidly now. And you can see it when you see our celebrities. Look how they dress. You can see it when you're watching these reality shows. Look how they dress. You can see, you see a lot of our sisters out here. They have no knowledge of self. It's all about trying to please the flesh and trying to get attention of people, and that's not going to keep nobody. You get all the boobs you want and all the butt you want. That's not going to keep nobody. Because there's always going to be somebody going to have a bigger butt and a bigger boobs than you. Please know that. I said, you're going to do anything, do it for the right reason. Do it because you want it, not because you're trying to please somebody. Okay? And if you want to please anybody, focus on pleasing God. Give the Most High God your time. Go within yourself. Find out what you are and whose you are. Because I've seen within myself. And I'm praying that many of you will start to look through that hourglass and see for yourself the things I've been seeing. The Most High God no respect a person. It's all about what we think is so important. What you think is so important, family, that's for you to sit there and to reflect on. When you are alone, what do you think is so important? What do you think is so important? You're putting all that energy in when you are alone. Are you spending a little time trying to master yourself? It's better to take the lonely road into the kingdom than to follow the world into destruction. I agree. It's not about being perfect, family. Life is all about growth and learning. Definitely learning the lessons, okay? I love you. Thank you for taking the time to watch. And if this message resonates with you, show me some love down below. And bye for now.